Hello and welcome to UFC Pitchside Show brought to you by University of New Jersey. I'm your host as always, Tom Dorsey. We're going to start where we always start, with last week's football. So Kev, Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool game was good. Own goal was in great form for us, despite him getting a goal for West Ham as well. But I was a bit worried about how we'd get on. We usually struggle against big Sam sides, but we've done pretty well. Suarez got himself another goal, which makes it 14 out for 10 games. Joe Allen played instead of Lucas. Our flow midfield was a lot better. I was pretty happy with that. Gerrard went off injured. He's out for about 4 to 6 weeks, which is a big shame now. Don't know what Jamie thinks, but I was quite happy with the win. Puts us up at the second leg. Can't complain.
Yeah, same as Kev. I'm delighted. It's good to see Joe Allen playing again. He had a good game. Passing was good. Pity to see Gerrard get injured, but I think that'll just bring Lucas back in, and it will be just maybe stronger without Gerrard. He does bring a lot of good passing to the game, but we do talk about his slowness and his lack of energy at the moment. So the rest might do him a bit of good, and I think we'll benefit from not having him in the team.
It was also interesting to see Sterling play again. He had one of his best games in over a year again. It was good to see him involved. He's making a lot of good runs. You never know what he might be pushing for a place in the World Cup, but you never know.
And Morky, I know you've been wanting to talk about United at the minute and the struggle for form. So what's going on at Old Trafford?
Well, yeah, in the league at the minute it's just not been great at all. Champions League and Carling Cup we're doing as you'd expect us to. We won the Champions League group last night, but the league form is just too inconsistent. It's like Old Trafford, we shouldn't be getting beat by teams like West Brom, Newcastle and Everton at Old Trafford. It just looks like they're not passing forward enough. Fellaini just looks... I think he can be a good player for us, but he needs time to settle. And at the moment, he's just not. There's too many average players in the team. If I had my way, I'd just have a big clear out next summer. I'd get rid of people like Lindegaard, Fabio, Nani, Anderson, Fletcher, Cleverly to name a few. But the thing that annoys me at the minute is especially with the Liverpool fans and even Newcastle fans. I hear it a lot from Harry at home. Is Liverpool are having the best season for God knows how long. They actually look like title contenders, yet they're still talking about look how crappy United doing. Yeah.
And like I was saying to you yesterday, that United aren't used to transition. No. And this season is a transitional season, and they just need to chill out a bit.
I've seen a stat there. How many points United off? Oh yeah, they were 12 points off before the game against Arsenal, and I seen a stat. I think it was 10 years ago or something. Fergie was in charge. Liverpool were first at the time. Arsenal were second, and United were ninth, and they were 12 points off pace. Yeah, exactly. And Liverpool had a game in hand at the time, and Fergie managed to get them back to third place after that, but. And I was seeing people saying, do you reckon Moyes could do that? And I really don't think he can. I don't think they'll make Europe at all.
But to be fair, he's still the players though as well. It's like he's still got that quality of player that Fergie had.
Gary Neville said on Monday Night Football the other night, he said, if I was in that dressing room now, he said, I'd be sat there thinking, did I really rely on my manager that much to get me through games? It's still the same players. You've got Rooney, you've got Van Persie. The world-class players, some of the players in that team, obviously there is a lot of too many average players that need to go, and people could have said that last season.
The thing we were saying as well the other day, that when it was under Fergie and they're 1-0 down, they'd be shit scared to go back in the dressing room.
That's what they said.
I think because Moyes is obviously still settling into the job, and he's obviously quite. I think he's obviously quite a what's the word? Quite a not a scary manager, but I can imagine him losing his temper. But he's still not that. He still haven't got that Fergie figure.
Gary Neville said himself, there's no fear factor anymore. Like the last 15 minutes of a game, you'd have everybody in the box. You'd have 4 people in the box at all times. If there was a cross coming in, there'd be somebody in there on the end of it. There's just not that anymore. There's no hunger there anymore.
I've been at Old Trafford in the past, where quarter of an hour to go, they're still needing a result. They're either behind or drawing, and it's just kind of there's a feeling that it's inevitable that United will get forward and they'll score, and it's just not there. When you watch the games now, it's just not there.
I also like how every time a match are there, they're losing or something, they always go to Moyes, stood in the touchline with the Sir Alex Ferguson stand looking over him. It's like, give the guy a chance. Imagine when he stood there on the touchline and he's just looking around and he looks up and he's got Sir Alex Ferguson stand in his face. It's the hardest job in the league.
It is. It's the hardest job in football at the minute. It's harder than the England job.
Those shoes are massive.
And that's why you'd wonder why he gave Moyes the job. For all the good work he's done at Everton, they needed to get a proven winner in there.
It's because Fergie.
Yeah.
Fergie chose him.
I know, like it was the worst decision Fergie's made in years, put it that way. But as I said last week, it probably is the biggest poison chalice in football in the past two decades. Like. So it is a hard job, but he's not making it any easier for himself playing reactive football.
People forget though, it took Fergie 4 seasons to win anything. In the 80s, people say, "Oh, United weren't the same team as they were now." They had like people like Brian Robson, who was the England captain at the time, Norman Whiteside, people like that. There's quite a few of us. They weren't a bad team.
Yeah, but he hadn't won anything for 20 years previous to that, either. Like.
I wouldn't be confident that David Moyes would rebuild this team and make it his own and make it better than or as good as Fergie's teams. I just don't have that confidence in him at all.
I think he can in time. I think this season might be a write-off, but I think in time.
I agree with Marky, I do. One of the standout games from last week's football was Everton Arsenal. I'm sort of waiting for both sets of teams actually to slip up. Like I'm waiting for Arsenal to slip up, and I'm also waiting for Everton to slip up and fade away. But neither team are slipping up. Jack, did you see the Everton Arsenal game?
I did. It was, well, personally I thought it was a bit disappointing. I expected more from both sides. Later on the games goals became inevitable. I think Arsenal probably did deserve the win in the end, but Delafeu with one of his greedy shots actually found the back of the net for a change, so I'll give him a bit of leeway this week. But Boss Barkley was fantastic. It's ridiculous watching that boy play football. 20 years old, he's got both feet just as good as the other. It's ridiculous.
Doesn't it just make you feel really poor at 20 years of age?
Yeah, exactly.
There's people like that playing professional football.
Yeah, I'm 21 sat in the studio recording show talking about a 20-year-old playing Premier League football. And probably the saviour of English football in the next World Cup.
That's not going to do him any good saying that, is it now?
I know, it's just, I know we keep hyping on the lad, but it must be so hard for him to stay grounded when you've got people like Alan Hansen saying, I don't know what he said. Like
he seems though. I mean, his interview he said he'd never been interviewed before, did he? He looked nervous as hell, innit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if we're going to praise Barkley, I think we should say something like James McCarthy, who was as good as anyone on the pitch in the midfield. So for Irish hopes, I was pretty happy there. But I think if anything, it just showed how far Everton have come. They would never play like that away under Moyes. Like,
and that's the thing as well. I'm sure most people around here today would say that we wrote off Everton at the start of the season because of what Martinez did at Wigan, but it just goes to show you, like I think I said this last week, that the quality of players he's got at Everton now, the system that he tried at Wigan really will work when you have got that quality of player. And there's players like that, Oviedo that's burst on the scene. Years ago it would have been if Leighton Baines is out or Fellaini are out, they're in trouble, but this Oviedo's come from nowhere and he's like assisted and scored 2 in like his games.
I think Martinez is after building on a pretty strong base that Moyes had a defensive team, but it was a solid team, and I think he's after putting his attacking flair into the team, because I think Martinez probably isn't a great defensive manager. We've seen that at Wigan, he used to always concede goals. I think it's after working well for him the way he's at the centre of the team. Like.
Marky, do you think Arsenal can win it?
I think at the moment they're probably favourites, but I think there's a long way to go yet, and that there's people keep saying they haven't been tested and whatever. They lost at Old Trafford against a United team who, as we've said, haven't been playing well at all this season. So yeah, I think it's one of them. Ask me that again come March time.
I think they've got Chelsea coming up fairly soon, haven't they?
They've got a hard one coming.
Yeah.
They beat the most informed team in the league beside them, Liverpool, at the time. So to say they haven't beaten any of the challengers is ridiculous, because they have, and they have proved themselves time and time again, and they don't look like stopping. They will have a lull, as all teams do, but I think they will win the league. They're far and above everybody else at the moment, and I don't see why that would change with the players they have.
Before I go to Marky, do we still think that if Giroud does get injured that they are buggered?
No.
Yeah. Well, they'll get someone in January. I think it's
they'll get someone
inevitable.
in January. But we're talking,
They're going to get someone good in.
I don't know why they won't play with him.
I don't know. No, because he plays. I don't think he plays well for Fulham, because Fulham aren't good enough for him to play in that team. But Man United were. Man United, he had 9 of the outfield players do all his work. And if the ball came to him, he'd stick it in the back of the net. Fulham, he needs to do work.
Arsenal have players like Ozil and Ramsey, Wilshere, who are just going to give that ball to Berbatov exactly where he wants it. He'll put the ball in the net. That's all he's there to do. He's not there.
I think Arsenal need to worry more, not if Giroud gets injured, if Ozil or Cazorla get injured. Because you see when they played Man U, Ozil was, I can't remember him being on the pitch, and that is why they lost that game, because he wasn't playing. The service wasn't there to the strikers. He wasn't the link between the midfield and the strikers, and that is why they lost that game. So
and Marky wanted to
think to win it, I think they need to start picking up results against big teams like away from home. Once they start doing that, then yeah, I think they'll be a shoe-in.
I think the reason why they're favourites is because it looks like no one else wants to win it. Because I thought Chelsea and City would have been the favourites, but they keep slipping up just randomly.
Yeah, Chelsea performance has been a bit mad, haven't they, recently? Anyway, moving on, we're going to move on to something that's hit football quite hard, it seems. The football spot fixing. Sam Sodji was caught on video talking about it. It sort of shocked me because, you know, you never think about things like this are actually happening in the game, so I don't know what everyone else thinks, but Kev?
I think it's a wake-up call to England that they're as susceptible to that sort of thing as anywhere else. Just because the reason why it comes out in Italy is because they're always investigating it. And I think it may not be as rife in England, but I think it's definitely been going on.
European football expert there for you folks, Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, but like, in Italy, for example, they have these organisations set up to investigate to see what's going on. In England, they never have, because our players are fine, we'll never get caught doing it. But clearly, this is just the opening of it. It's going to come out a lot more now, I think, personally.
Unfortunately, it seems like it's a big part of football, like in the lower leagues especially. It seems that it's rooted in there, like a lot of people are doing it. And think of all the cases, like there's so many that have come out now that have been found guilty of it. Like how many more haven't been caught?
I'm just wondering, Jack, off the back of what Jamie said, is it been in the back of your mind? If I don't know.
Well, once it came out, it makes you think about some of the silly fouls you see, especially in the football league. Like you see stupid tackles going in, you're like, why the hell's he done that? And you never think, oh, we've maybe been paid to do it. Yeah. But the most disappointing one for me is DJ Campbell, because he's English. The rest of them are all like foreign players. You know, Kevin was like, it goes on in Europe. Maybe you don't expect it to be such an English thing. Like personally, that an English player has done it. Because you know, like people are like, oh, English players don't dive, English players don't cheat, blah 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 blah. Ashley Young, but
in general, it's coming out now. England players.
That is why it's disappointed me the most. If there's more English players involved in it, that's very very disappointing, to be honest with you.
I think Ashley Young should be in the next Bond film.
Ashley Young was awful last night. If anyone's in the game, ridiculously bad.
Yeah, I saw that shot, that left footed shot when he was through on goal that just sort of like wept like a spiral towards
the like, had such a decline, that boy.
Terrible.
Anyway, yeah, I just thought it would like sort of shocked me quite a lot, because I weren't expecting to turn on Sky Sports News and see that along the bottom. I was expecting like the new Portsmouth manager or the new something like that. But yeah, Michael.
I think the temptation's there in the lower league, because what you have to remember is they're not on 100 grand a week. These players, it's like the average wage in League 2 I know is about just over 30 grand, which is about the same as what a teacher gets paid. So it's good, yeah, but it's not loads.
I mean, like, if some guy comes to you and says, "Get yourself sent off, I'll give you 70 grand," you'd be like, well, you know, who's not many people in that position to turn that money down. You know, if he's like, oh, there's very little chance of you getting caught, you'd be like, well.
And especially with footballers, because when their career is over, they have to go find new training, because they're not going to be earning 30 grand until
they're seen that.
How many times do you see in the news, like, ex-footballers that are struggling to live out the game?
Just what
Kenny Sampson was quite a regular recent example of that.
I was just about to bring that up, yeah.
And there's that many charities going about now, the PFA trying to help players get retrained and that. If you're offered 70 grand, that's probably more than 2 years' wages for a lot of players.
If there's a 34, 35-year-old player playing in League 2, he's thinking, like, this, I'm not going to be able to earn anymore from football, so if somebody flashes him a load of money to get sent off, it'd be very difficult to say no.
Well, there you go, that's the subject, but they're in the early to mid-30s now, their career's coming to an end. You know, someone's offered them that money, then why not?
Taking a break from football now, we're going to go to our resident cricket expert, Michael, to give us an update on the Ashes. I think he's been pretty poor from what I've been seeing. I think you predicted us for some big wins, didn't you, Mork? And it's gone downhill.
It's been horrendous, Tom.
Missed it, Mork, not working there.
Absolute diarrhea, it's been.
Diarrhea!
We've lost the first 2 tests by a long way, really. We lost the first one, and then I think it was Adelaide, the second one. The most frustrating thing for me is like, obviously Mitchell Johnson has been like,
that was the thing that you pointed out. I was going to
I said before the start of the series, on his day he's one of the best fast bowlers in the world. He's been like a steam train. He just cut straight through us. But the most frustrating thing for me was when we had 4 wickets for the final day in Adelaide. We were never going to win the game, but with 4 wickets there was a chance of rain, and then we have Stuart Broad who hits a 6 in the first over and then tries to play the same shot again the next ball, when Siddle balls it a little bit shorter, so he's got a lot less control over the shot, gets caught behind square. Matt Pry does the same a few overs later, and we're all out in 10 overs. There was a chance of rain. If we just held on, we didn't have to score a run all day.
Yeah, I think Sky Sports News were about they're just praying for rain. Yeah.
If we just blocked and left all day, we could have saved it. But no, we were never going to win it. So we had to go gung ho, and then I was hoping Monty would save us and stick around all day at the end. But yeah.
So are we buggered, Mark? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I don't think we can win the series now. I think we can retain it if we win 2 out of the 3, maybe, but it's unlikely. I think Sky Bet have got it at 12-1, so it might be worth a couple of quid. But Australia just look too good at the minute. Like even like that, the Darren Lehman, the new coach, has made such a difference to their team. Like they brought him in 2 weeks before the Ashes series in the summer, which was in England. That was probably too soon for him to stamp his mark on the team. But now he's made like average players look like Peter Siddle, who would have got nowhere near that team about 5 years ago. Look, the brilliant. They're playing better. They're playing better than they are. Then Mitchell Johnson has just been unreal.
Yeah, that was something you did predict there, Marky. Moving on to something that's been talked about, things that have been predicted, the World Cup draw, and I was I recorded the World Cup draw to watch the following morning after work, and I was all day avoiding it. Not looking at Twitter, not looking at Facebook, avoiding it all day. But he walked at newsagents. Outside the front is his Sun headline with the the Christ Redeemer saying Lord help us. I saw the group and I was like, oh, what was the point in that then? Yeah, it's going to be difficult for us. It is. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, it's when I seen it, I was like, look, England ain't getting through. But the more I think about it, I think it's been vastly, it's made it to be worse than it is. I think Uruguay haven't been a good side since they won the Copa America. I think it was 2-3 years ago. They obviously have Suarez and Cavani, but they don't play good football. They literally play hoofball. And then Italy are a side that a lot of time end up underperforming.
And Andrea Pirlo is out seriously injured. Is that right? I'm sure.
Possibly.
Martinez said that on the World Cup draw.
Barring that, I think like you just have 2 good sides in there, but I think they aren't as good as they're being made out. And England have a good chance of getting through.
Obviously, the biggest thing that's been made out is the England-Italy game in Manaus, where it's in the 90s humidity. And I think Jack, you was telling us something before we went on air about.
There was a sports journalist, one of their, I can't remember his name now, actually, unfortunately. He was the first journalist allowed in the stadium. He apparently, by all accounts, he's quite a fit man. He keeps himself in good shape, goes to the gym regularly, runs regularly. He said he ran 3 widths of the pitch, he ran 2, tried to do his 3rd, and he had to stop because he didn't want to collapse. He went, when I took my trainers off, there was inches of sweat in my trainers, the humidity, there's nowhere for heat to go. People are making a big deal about the weather, but every other team's got to deal with it. Just the fact that the English media look for any kind of scapegoat possible to make up for people for excuses.
But in some ways it is, I think it is a good thing that we have got that game first, and then the 2 other games are relatively close to where we're based in Rio.
Is it Italy, Uruguay, and then Costa Rica?
Costa Rica's the last game, I think, in Belo Horizonte or something.
Well, as long as we don't get beaten the first 2, I think we'll be fine.
I think it is between us and Italy. I think
Uruguay said two draws and win and get us through.
Are Costa Rica being underrated here?
They have a few decent players.
Brian Ruiz.
Oviedo as well at Everton.
There's a few players. I can't think now, but I was reading up they have a few decent players. I think England would be better off getting them early in. If they could get a win, that would kind of set them up good for kind of hold out for a draw.
If they were after getting maybe a draw and another draw, they need to win that game. It's not like that easy because they are going to be a tough team to beat.
I think we can beat Uruguay, and I think if we get the draw against Italy,
it just depends how the players' form going at the tournament. Like mentioned before,
and
we need
our history of
like,
injuries as well.
We need players like Barkley and that to keep the form up and like don't drip off towards the end of the season. When we go on to the World Cup, like players are tiring and we need the form to stay.
You want to be getting past 34-year-old Lagana. Is he at West Brom now?
Yeah, he's
he's their main defender. He's going to be nearly 35. Like he's brutal. So
France's group as well. I'm sure they must have played somebody for that group.
Yeah,
Switzerland, Honduras, and Ecuador.
They got lucky there after the struggle they had getting through.
Exactly.
Now Switzerland in the top 10 in the world.
Yeah, they're a good
that
side.
surprised me. Now, yeah.
Probably because mostly with Blatters in charge. But
Also, I was going to say there's been quite a lot of conspiracy theories floating around, and one of them was the, I think we all remember the female presenter quite well.
Hey.
Sorry, Lavina, if you're listening, love. Sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Yeah, there's been a conspiracy theory where she was only put there as the eye candy while the guy was messing with the balls to put them in like the right pots, which is ridiculous. But Jeff Hurst could. Why Jeff? After all you've done for us, why would you give us that group?
And you was going to do that as well.
I know.
I think the commentator was like, I bet this is
Jonathan
England.
Pearce,
I bet this is England. And it was.
Yeah.
But how ridiculous was that draw? How confusing was it?
It was confusing.
Yeah.
My mum watched the point, and I was sitting there watching it going, why don't they just put all the balls in one pot and just pick them out one after each other? I mean, what difference does it make who you play? And I was like, it's true.
It's similar to when you do the Champions League draw, because they can't have certain regions in the same group.
Like, who really cares if England's in a group with like 3 other European teams? But that's bother me. We're not there to we're not out there to network with other countries, are we? We're there to beat them.
Yeah, but you could end up with
I
a
think
group
it'd
with
take away the World
Honduras,
Cup thing
Iran.
if he was in a group with 3 European teams. When he's so
No.
It's all for TV coverage.
Exactly. England's games move forward now for TV companies complaining about the money. So that
It's
makes
because
it worse now.
they want the best teams to win. They don't want the smaller countries to win. That's the truth of it. They don't.
Yeah.
George covered it for us, didn't he, on the Twitter, and he sounded like he was really enjoying it. I was like,
George loves a draw. He does. He loves draws. Anyway, yeah, moving on to this weekend's football, where we always end up at this time of the show. It's Liverpool Spurs, and it's such a shame that George isn't here. Because I'm sure you all agree, you must love him talking about Spurs. Jermaine Defoe, he's rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. Roberto Soldado, Spanish Darren Bent. It's so good to listen to, it's funny. Arsenal, City Arsenal, Villa United, Everton, Fulham and Carlisle this week, because Jack's here. Hey, you can talk about Carlisle. So we'll start with Kev, Liverpool Spurs, and I wish George was here so much to talk about Spurs.
Hard game against Spurs. I'd find just that we could pick up something. Spurs aren't that great at the moment. Usually, obviously, the first thing I'll be worrying about is midfield, because they have a big, strong midfield, and we're crap in midfield.
You love your midfield, don't you?
But Gerrard's out, so we're going to be better defensively because Gerrard can't run. But we're probably not going to be as good going forward. Don't know what the lads think, but when you have the best player in the league in your team, you always have a chance. But our record at White Hart Lane in recent years is awful.
Spurs can't score, but we can't defend. So something has to give way, and I think we
it's
will.
the same with the City Spurs game as well. Best defend.
If they can't score against us, they can't score against anybody because we concede. Like there's no tomorrow. It doesn't matter who we're playing, we're going to concede. That's what it seems at the moment. And like Kev said, the midfield battle. I'd be more confident with Lucas in there ahead of Gerrard. Lucas, Henderson, Allen, good legs in there, plenty of running. But they do have a strong midfield, and players like Sandro would worry me because they're going to just steamroll us. But hopefully, I think we've enough about us to beat them, and I would take a draw, to be honest.
Yeah.
Villa United, Marky. Villa at home really seem to struggle with breaking teams down, whereas away they can just bomb on with a Bonhorn, Delph and the pace they've got. Do you reckon it's a good game for United at the moment to try and get back to winning ways?
maybe, but Villa Park is always a very hard place to go. I'd take a point, to be honest. I honestly
It's
would.
come to something, hasn't it, when United will take a point.
Take a point. To be fair, it wouldn't have been the worst of results at Villa Park anyway if it was at home, but yeah, if we can get a win, I think it'll either be a draw or we'll scrape a 1-0 win. It won't be. It'll be another Shakhtar performance like last night.
Mystic Mark and George Petito predictions will be sorting those out. It's quite tight at the minute, I think we need to update, but I remember it being quite tight. Everton Fulham. Oh, I forgot to mention, we won on Sunday. Beat Villa 2-0. Oh, it was a long time. A long time coming, that little win. Yeah, but we've got Everton away and...
Mulestein effect.
Yeah, the Mulestein effect. I like him now. I'm warming to because...
Weird accent.
It's like a Mancunian Dutchman.
Yeah.
He goes proper Manc and then he goes back to being like smoking a pancake. Dutch. It's really weird. But he's been talking a good game, to be fair to him, and he's been on about winning the fans back with the Spurs performance, which we did because the Spurs performance was vastly improved, like I said in the November review. But we were very, very good against Villa. To be fair, Villa were poor, and I was expecting better from him, but we were very good. It was a great win, and hopefully we can go to Everton and at least get a point. But Our record at Everton, as I'm sure any Everton fans listening and fellow Fulham fans listening, is appalling. I don't think we've won there since the Crimean War, probably. I don't know. It's been a hell of a long time since we won at Goodison. So yeah, now we can go to Jack and talk about Carlisle. He's back this week. You know, he's always off playing football. All that time he was in a skip on his 21st, but he's back. Yeah. Carlisle, you've had quite a good week, haven't you? Brentford in the cup.
Yeah, well, beating Brentford in the cup and getting Sunderland in the third round away from home, that'd be good. Third time I've had it well. Sorry, no, we saw with Spurs last season. That was at home. Everton away was our last big cup draw. Yeah, we've got Tranmere. They've been rocked recently by the match fixing scandal with the legendary defender Ian Goodison and striker Akpo Sodje getting brought into it. Same last week against Brentford, really. I mean, 4.5 hours kick-off, they lost the manager, Huey Roslett, Wigan, that's the one. So it could work in our favour again. We're back playing decent football. We had a bit of a relapse in performances a few weeks after Kavanagh took charge, probably going back to the Abbott ways. But yeah, the side we've got now, the side we're playing against Brentford, looks strong. You know, recently I've been looking at the starting 11 going, oh well, he's rubbish, etc. But Saturday, you know, barring Fleming the keeper, you know, we've got Amos and Gillespie they're the best two keepers at the club. It was great. In Courtney Walter, obviously he splits opinions with because of his past. He was fantastic. He's the best. He's the best centre half I've seen with us since we had James Chester from United. He was ridiculously good. His passing of the ball as well from the back was unbelievable. 40-yard balls, 5-yard balls, whatever it was, everything was perfect. 100% pass completion in a League One game for centre half. That's pretty. That's pretty well League One game. Sorry, between two League One teams in the cup, it's pretty impressive. Bearing in mind, normally it's just big ball guys hoofing the ball one side of the pitch to the other.
Well, I think we were saying that when it came out and it was on trial at the club that, look, this kid has obviously got something with Mancini putting him on the bench in the Champions League and stuff like that. So
he's got all the talent in the world by the looks of it. He just obviously didn't apply himself at that time of his life, and obviously the crash, you know, he's taken full blame for that. He's owned up to it. To be fair to that, you know, he hasn't made any excuses. He said, "Yeah, my fault." Obviously, a horrible thing happened, 2 lives lost. But it's just one of those things where if we didn't give him a chance, I'm sure somebody else would have, and he would have ended up coming to the park and playing fantastic against us.
Okay.
I think he'll be a great player for Carlisle. I think he's served his time now. Just give him a chance, and I think I'd really like to see him do well.
There's a lot of go on. There's a lot of people commenting about his sentence and that, but who are we to comment on the judicial system? You know, if they've
it's definitely not our area. We're not going there now.
No, but if they served his time, if he worked in Greggs, he could have gone back to work in Greggs and no one would have batted an eyelid.
Yeah, you're just a football fan, that's all you care about, your team doing well.
Yeah,
fair,
you know, it's Team Carlisle, we won about 4 players turned down money. You know, Carlisle can't afford to turn down a lot of this ability. The amount of money he could make us in a few years, transfer, he could keep the club running.
Oh, can you just tell all the folks listening what you said before? It was proper old school football, weren't it?
I just said if we have him for another year and a half, we could sell him at least $1 million, and that'd keep us running for 2 or 3 years.
No, in this day and age, folks, how lovely is that? £1 million. It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Proper football.
I'm guessing Kavanagh must be quite happy with the draw, Sunderland away.
Yeah, well, obviously there's a lot of the lads playing for Carlisle from the North East. Anyways, there's a lot of Newcastle fans. There's a lot of Sunderland fans. There's Paul Thurl, ex-Sunderland player. Kavanagh, ex-Sunderland player. Liam Noble's ex-Sunderland Newcastle fan. Obviously we've got Chris Lumsden on the radio. He's an ex-Sunderland player, ex-Carlisle player. There's a lot of ties between the North East. So I think there's going to be the Sunderland players, the Sunderland fans going out there wanting to beat the team, wanting to play against them, and obviously the Newcastle fans who want to go out there and absolutely destroy Sunderland. So I honestly think we could do them. There's a lot of excitement.
You're going to try and go, Jack?
I'll be going. I was put down to work, but I've just went into work, put a big fat cross in my name.
Yeah.
There's not a chance I'd work in that. There's a lot of optimism. You know, we'll take 6,000-7,000. And a lot of people saying, "Oh, Glory fans, 1 game season." But like, fair enough. In this,
that's a hell of a lot.
I think someone worked it out. If Sunderland sell us tickets average £15 a man, we could make £125,000 off that. You know, again, that's a player. That's a player's wages for 2 months paid. Yeah. I do think we can do. Big pitch, get the ball on the floor, pass it well. Especially with Mepham Walton now, we use another passing option. We do pass the ball well when we get down to play. I think if we can exploit the space around Sunderland, I looked at the games they're playing in the space of a month. They've got 8 games and we're the 7th.
They'll be
Between the
knackered, like.
14th of
Yeah.
December and the 18th of January, so it's a month and 4 days. They've got 8 games, and we're the 7th, so they'll be knackered.
They have a big squad, though, that's the thing.
They have got a big squad,
They
that's
brought
true.
in a lot of players, so they do have a big squad. They have a lot of players to choose from. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
It's a good time. I think. Well, we was quite far away, but the way Sunderland are going, it'll probably still
Exactly.
be a good time to
Also,
play. Sunderland.
Yeah.
the keeper Keane Westwood ex-Carlisle as well.
Yeah.
That's their keeper now, the link. Sorry,
It
but
doesn't start anymore.
he's not starting anymore.
No,
It's
Oh,
being
no, no.
Manoni, isn't it? Yeah.
But I think I do think we can. I do think we could at least get a refill out.
And it's that time of show where we tend to finish it off. But before we go, I was just wanted to say I hope you've enjoyed the boxing MMA debate. I know I did. It was quite interesting, especially the both sides, but the MMA side personally because I didn't know much about it. But also I wanna plug something which we've really pulled out. Well, to be fair, Moki's pulled out with the release of the film at Class of '92. Moki managed to find one of the original Fergie's fledglings. I hope I pronounced his name right. I think it's Giuliano Moniani or something like that. Sorry if that's the wrong pronunciation, but it's a really great interview, and it's an insight into something that will likely never be repeated again. So go on the blog and check that out. Anyway, yeah, that's it for us this week. See you later.